Listen to this. If you wait for it to get easy, you'll never start. That is the first truth every man must face on the road to greatness. The path to your better self is not paved in comfort. It is built with pressure, discomfort, discipline, and the relentless repetition of doing what you don't feel like doing. The men who achieve success are not those with the least resistance, but those who move forward in spite of it. They are men who have trained themselves to act regardless of how they feel. And that is a skill you must develop, because feelings are fleeting, but your results will last forever. If you want better, you must force better. You must demand more from yourself than the world ever will. That begins when you decide to stop waiting and start doing. No one is coming to make it easier. But if you build a habit of acting through resistance, your life will become unrecognizable. You cannot wait for motivation. You must build momentum through discipline. Understand this principle, and you will unlock every door that once felt sealed shut. Discipline is the bridge between what you want and what you actually have the power to create. And it doesn't arrive through emotion. It is born in routine, in self-command, in the act of doing what must be done, even when every part of you resists. You will not always feel inspired. You will not always feel strong. But if you act despite that, if you move your feet when doubt whispers stop, then you build the habit of internal dominance. That habit becomes your edge. While others rest, you rise. While others overthink, you execute. And that is how you begin to separate yourself, not with talent, but with discipline. True growth begins the moment you push when you want to retreat. Every time you force yourself to get better, when it's dark, when it's lonely, when no one is cheering, you create leverage. Not just over your goals, but over your mind. And make no mistake, this entire journey is a war for your mind. Your old thoughts want comfort. They want what's familiar. But your future demands more. It requires you to override the voice that says not today and act anyway. That small action, that repetition of doing hard things daily, will slowly dismantle your excuses. You will start to think differently, walk differently, speak with more certainty, not because someone gave you permission, but because you earned your confidence through consistency. That is the reward of forcing yourself to improve. You don't just change outcomes, you change identity. And when your identity shifts, so does your destiny. Let me tell you this truth. Growth is not always glamorous. Most of the time, it's gritty. It's early mornings when your body aches. It's late nights when your mind is tired. It's showing up with no audience, no applause, just your will. That's where transformation happens. Not when it's easy, but when it's hard. Because in those hard moments, the man you used to be would have stopped. But you didn't. You pushed. You endured. And that one decision separates you from the majority of the world. Most will fold under pressure. They'll wait for the perfect time, the perfect energy, the perfect plan, but perfection never comes. Only the prepared succeed. And the prepared man is the one who acts, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. That man is building something no one else can take, self-respect. You must become the kind of man who forces himself to evolve, not when he feels ready, but when he knows it's required. Success is not an accident. It's engineered through the boring, brutal, disciplined repetition of doing the work. You are not competing with other people, you are competing with your old self. The weaker version of you, the one who procrastinates, who negotiates with excuses, who seeks comfort over growth, that version must be destroyed. Every day, every choice, every habit must be aimed at that destruction. Because the only way to become someone new is to leave the old self behind. And leaving him behind means making decisions that hurt. It means training your mind to stop needing easy and instead becoming addicted to progress. That mindset is not born. It's built by forcing action when it's hardest to take. Pain will come. Fatigue will visit. But those are not reasons to stop. They are signals that you're on the edge of your breakthrough. Most men misread these signs. They see discomfort as danger. But it is in fact the opposite. Discomfort is proof that you're stretching beyond your limits. That's where the real change lives. Force yourself to stay in that discomfort long enough, and the threshold breaks. What once felt impossible becomes your new normal. This is how every great man has built his empire, not by waiting, but by acting through resistance. They've all faced doubt, fear, insecurity. But what made them exceptional was their decision to move anyway. And if you're willing to do the same, to force your evolution through deliberate, uncomfortable action, then no goal is beyond reach. Not because it was easy, but because you became hard enough to handle it. You must get tired of your own excuses. You must reach a point where doing the hard thing is no longer negotiable. That point, when you stop asking, should I, and start acting automatically, that is when your power begins. The difference between average and elite is not in talent, it's in decision. And the most powerful decision you can ever make is to move when it's hard, to do the reps, to build the habits, to demand more. This is not about perfection, it's about consistency. If you fall, get up faster. If you miss, reset and continue. The weak man breaks under pressure. The strong man adapts, but the extraordinary man, he rises, not because he feels like it, but because he trained himself to. And that training is what you must begin today, because no one will do it for you. No one will save you. Only you can pull yourself out of mediocrity. You must set a standard so high that your past self cannot breathe at your new altitude. That begins with forcing yourself to improve, especially when it's inconvenient, especially when no one is watching. That's when it matters most. Don't aim for praise. Aim for power, the kind of inner power that comes from following through, from being the man who keeps his word to himself. Every day you show up, you deposit into your confidence account, and that account determines how bold you are in the world. When you've trained yourself to act without emotion, to move with clarity, to build regardless of external validation, you become untouchable. Your success is no longer based on conditions, it becomes inevitable. And that inevitability, it begins with forcing yourself to get better every single day, no matter how you feel. You are now on a stage where the momentum has begun, but here's the warning you must hear. Momentum dies without maintenance. Progress is not self-sustaining. You must fuel it. You must wake up every single day and decide that you are not satisfied. You must continue to stretch yourself when others would be content. Success is a moving target. What you conquered yesterday will not suffice tomorrow. That is why growth must be forced, not once but daily, not in waves, but in discipline. The discipline to continue, to evolve, to refine yourself until you no longer recognize the man you used to be. The key to long-term transformation lies in how you treat each moment of weakness. Will you fold, or will you fight? Your answer determines your legacy. Growth is not accidental, it is aggressive, and it demands your total attention. Do not make the mistake of waiting for a second wind. The second wind comes from motion, not idleness. The men who wait for motivation never build empires. They remain spectators. Those who dominate success are not spectators. They are producers of effort, initiators of action, even when tired, especially when tired. They understand that the body may fatigue, but the mind must lead. You must train your mind to override your feelings, to rise above the voice that says, "Not today," because "not today" is the song of mediocrity. And you were not born for mediocrity. You were born to break limits, to become a symbol of relentless improvement. But that only happens when you demand that standard from yourself, even when it's hard, even when you don't feel like it. Especially then. Let's be clear. No one ever achieved greatness by doing what was convenient. Comfort does not shape champions. The champion is molded in moments of extreme discomfort. The early hours, the long nights, the repeated disciplines that the world doesn't see. But you must choose that path voluntarily. No one will drag you toward mastery. It is a lonely road, and rightly so, because the rewards are reserved for the few willing to walk it. When it's easier to sleep, get up. When it's easier to complain, work. When it's easier to slow down, accelerate. This is how the elite think. They don't operate based on emotions. They operate based on identity. And their identity is tied to one principle. I do the hard things. If you want to join their ranks, adopt that mindset. Say it aloud. Live it daily. I do the hard things. There is power in repetition. When you force yourself to do hard things repeatedly, you train your nervous system for war. You build a psychological callus that shields you from quitting. And that callus is what allows you to endure where others collapse. That's why you must commit to the hard days. Embrace the grind. Because every time you push, every time you say yes to effort when ease is tempting, you feed your greatness. You sharpen your mind. You become more than you were the day before. And over time, this accumulation of small victories becomes unstoppable momentum. That momentum is your leverage. It allows you to break through plateaus, to silence self-doubt, to dominate your path. But it begins with one decision, to force better. Today, again, and again. If your goal is mastery, then understand this. Mastery is boring. It is not glamorous. It is not filled with constant excitement. Mastery is found in monotony, the repeated actions, the silent disciplines, the unnoticed grind. And yet, the world belongs to those who embrace this boredom. They don't chase stimulation. They chase execution. That is what separates those who try from those who win. You must fall in love with the process of getting better. And when it gets hard, that's a signal to go harder. Not to retreat, but to double down. Your mind must be conditioned to view hardship as opportunity, because every challenge contains the seed of advancement. But you only access that seed through forced effort. You cannot wait for it to bloom. You must dig, you must water, you must grow it through labor. Let's destroy a myth right now. You don't need to feel ready to take action. Readiness is a trap. It is a lie sold by comfort. The truth is, no man ever feels fully ready for the next level. That level demands more than he has mastered yet. And the only way to meet that level is to step into it unprepared and build your readiness through experience. That's how you evolve. Not by waiting, by walking through fear, by forcing growth in the face of uncertainty. That is how you train yourself to lead. You must act as if you already are the man you seek to become. Let your actions pull your identity forward. Let your effort build the character you desire. That character is not handed to you, it is forged in action, forced action. If you are exhausted, good, it means you're doing the work. But don't confuse fatigue with failure. The grind wears on every man, but only the weak surrender. You are not weak. You may feel it, but your strength is not found in feelings. It's found in what you do next. Rest if you must, but rise faster. Shake off the excuses. Recommit, realign, rebuild, because that is what it takes. There is no shortcut, no cheat code, no easy path. There is only the relentless pursuit of better, and that pursuit must be chosen daily, especially on the days where your mind screams enough, because those are the days that define you, that sculpt you, that awaken the champion inside. Make no mistake, there will be pain. There will be sacrifice. There will be moments where you question why you started. But those moments are not setbacks. They are signs that you are in the right place. Because if it were easy, it wouldn't be worth it. The path to success was never meant to be painless. It was meant to be purifying, to burn away weakness, to carve strength from discomfort. That's why you must lean into it. Embrace the suffering. Reframe it as a teacher. Every ache, every failure, every lonely hour is shaping you into someone powerful. But only if you keep going. Only if you force yourself to rise again. The weak see pain as punishment. The strong see it as preparation. You must choose strength. If there's one rule I want you to etch into your mind, it's this. Do not wait to feel like it. You act regardless. You train. You build. You execute. That is the law. And over time, the results will speak. People will wonder how you did it. They will ask your secret. But the answer will not be sexy. It will be simple. I forced myself to get better, even when it was hard. That is the secret. Not talent, not timing, relentless self-discipline. That's what wins. And the beauty is anyone can choose it, including you. You can decide today to become the most dangerous version of yourself, not by waiting, but by doing, by mastering yourself. That is where all success begins, with the mastery of self. You want a better life, a better income, better relationships, a better body, then become better, period. Become the kind of man who forces change through consistent action, not because it's easy, not because it's comfortable, but because he refuses to settle. That refusal becomes your fire. That fire is what burns through excuses, distractions, laziness. It is what clears the path. But you must ignite it yourself. And you must feed it daily, with action, with sacrifice, with deliberate effort. That's how you change. That's how you evolve. That's how you dominate. Through consistent, courageous, painful, boring, repeated excellence. There is a rare kind of man who rises each day with a fire in his gut, not because the world encourages him, but because he demands it of himself. He does not wait for approval, applause, or external motivation. He has learned a truth most will never understand. That life bends for the man who commands it. But command does not come from comfort. It is earned through consistent confrontation with one's own weaknesses. You must force yourself to get better. even when the wind is against you, even when doubt knocks, even when your hands are tired and your back is aching. That is the requirement of greatness, not talent, not connections, but sheer mental insistence that you will not be average no matter what stands in your way. Those who live by excuses die with regrets. Every time you make an excuse, you surrender control. You hand over your power to a story that serves your weakness. That story will lie to you. It will say, "You've done enough." It will whisper, "You deserve a break." It will reason, "No one is watching." But the truth is, you are always watching. And every time you tolerate your own mediocrity, you reinforce it. You carve it deeper into your identity. That is why it must be destroyed. Excuses must be replaced with execution. Reasoning must give way to results. Your job is not to feel good. Your job is to do good, not for others, for yourself, for who you are becoming, for the empire you are building brick by brick. Improvement requires a ruthless commitment to standards, your own standards, not what the world says is good enough. What you say is required. If you do not set high expectations, you will meet low realities. You will operate on the level of those around you instead of elevating yourself above the masses. And let me tell you, the masses are addicted to comfort. They crave praise without pain. They seek rewards without responsibility. That is why they remain ordinary. But you were not born to blend in. You were not put here to repeat the tired cycles of mediocrity that consume the majority. You were born to rise, to break the chain, to hold yourself to a higher law, the law of personal evolution, of non-negotiable improvement, of being better every single day, regardless of how you feel. Understand this. Your feelings are liars. They will betray you at the moment of action. Your feelings will always choose safety. They will always argue for stillness. They will always seek to protect the status quo. That is why you must not serve your feelings. You must serve your future, serve your potential, serve your mission. Those things don't speak in comfort. They scream in challenge. They call you forward through resistance, and you answer that call not by waiting to feel ready, but by declaring yourself ready through your actions. You say, "I move now, even if I don't feel like it." That is the difference between the successful and the stagnant. The successful act through resistance. The stagnant rationalize their pause. Be among the few who act. Let me give you the clearest formula for success you'll ever hear. Hardship plus discipline equals transformation. It is in hardship that you discover what you are made of. It is through discipline that you mold what you are becoming. This equation does not fail. It never has. The problem is that most people quit at the hardship. They think suffering is a sign to stop. But the truth is, it's a sign to start pushing harder. When your body aches, your soul is whispering, "Keep going." When your mind says enough, your destiny is daring you, "Show me what you're made of." Pain is not punishment. It is pressure. And pressure is what turns ordinary men into unstoppable forces. Lean into it. Master it. Use it. Some days you will hate the work. Do it anyway. Some days progress will feel invisible. Keep showing up. Some days the results will seem too far. Keep moving forward. Because even on those days, especially on those days, you are planting seeds that the future will harvest. Don't measure your growth by the applause. Measure it by the discipline, by the invisible battles you fight. by the days you didn't quit, by the early mornings, the late nights, the delayed gratification. That is what matters. That is the proof of greatness. Most people only perform when there's a spotlight. But if you can perform in the dark, you'll own the stage when the light finally hits. Force yourself to earn that moment. There is no magic in success. There is only process. And the process is simple. Do what must be done over and over without needing applause. The world respects those who outwork their excuses, those who don't need reminders, those who show up tired, busy, bored, or broken, and still get it done. That's the energy that builds empires. But you must adopt it like a religion. Make it your code. No matter how I feel, I execute. That alone can make you untouchable. Because once you separate your feelings from your actions, you become free. You're no longer a puppet to your moods. You become the master. And that mastery builds momentum. It attracts power. It earns respect from others and from yourself. The worst thing you can do is lie to yourself. Tell yourself you're trying when you're not giving your best. Tell yourself you need rest when you've barely started. Tell yourself it's not the right time when you've had years to begin. That self-deception is the silent killer of potential. Stop it. Be brutally honest. Call yourself out. Look in the mirror and say, you can do better and you will do better. That's how you take back control. Honesty is your weapon. Self-respect is your fuel. But both must be earned through effort. You don't get to feel proud for intentions. You earn pride by doing what most won't, by forcing better again and again, even when it hurts. Let us go even deeper. The truth is, you must develop the ability to suffer well, to endure pain without resentment, to face hardship without folding, because suffering is part of the price. You must stop seeking to avoid it and instead learn to conquer it. The man who can suffer with a straight spine and a steady gaze becomes indestructible. He becomes immune to excuses, to failure, to criticism. He learns that every blow can become a blessing if it is used properly. That kind of strength can't be taught in books. It is earned in silence, when no one is cheering, when no one believes in you, when the world forgets you. Those are the moments where your foundation is laid. If you can stand there when you are alone, tired, hurting, and still move forward, then you are becoming the man who deserves everything he desires. Discipline is your proof that you are not giving up. Each action you take, when it would have been easier not to, sends a signal to your brain. We are serious about this. That's how new identities are formed. Not from affirmation, but from action. The man who repeatedly shows up to do the hard things eventually becomes the man who is worthy of the result. So if you want more, do more. Not in short bursts, not when it's easy, but consistently, and especially when it's difficult, because that consistency is what builds the bridge from who you are to who you must become. And don't mistake this process for instant gratification. That is the addiction of the average. You must learn to fall in love with long gratification, with delayed rewards, with compounding improvement. That's where power lives. In the man who can delay his comfort for something far greater, the man who is patient with progress but urgent with action. Every day he plants. Every day he waters. Every day he fights. And then one day the world sees what he built. But that world didn't see the struggle, the silence, the discipline. They only see the fruit, never the soil. You must love the soil. That's where your legacy is grown. If you read this far, then I will leave you with one command. Raise your standard. Not tomorrow, now. Demand more from yourself, not just in public, but in private. Speak less. Do more. Chase less. Build more. Wish less. Act more. Become the kind of man who sets the bar so high that others question your sanity. Let them call you obsessed. Let them say you're too intense. Let them laugh while you build the life they never will. And when it's hard, good, it means you're on the right path. Keep walking. Keep grinding. Keep pushing. Because the hard is what makes it worth it. There will come a time when you've done the work, yet the world remains silent. No applause. No rewards. No breakthroughs. Just the same routine, the same grind, the same silence. This is the place where most men give up. They say, "What's the point?" and turn back to comfort. But you, if you are wise, will understand this is not failure. It is the test. It is life asking, how bad do you want this? Because results do not arrive when you want them to. They arrive when you've proven you're willing to endure without seeing them. The man who persists in the absence of visible results is the man who earns unstoppable momentum. And once that momentum arrives, there's no force that can stop him, not doubt, not fear, not delay. But you must first suffer the silence without flinching. That is the passage to power. Most men are addicted to dopamine, not discipline. They chase short hits of progress and quit when it plateaus. But if you want true mastery, you must train yourself to fall in love with plateaus. Those stretches where nothing exciting happens, no big wins, no flashy outcomes, just repetition, refinement, and grit. That is where the real transformation occurs. Because the man who keeps swinging the axe day after day, even when the tree hasn't yet fallen, he is the one who wakes up one morning to find the whole forest bowed to his persistence. You do not need motivation. You need a mission. A reason so strong it can outlast boredom, pain, fatigue, and discouragement. That's the foundation of everything lasting. That's what forces greatness into existence. What people call grind is really just alignment with your higher self. When you force yourself to improve, despite difficulty, you are aligning your actions with your ultimate potential. And that alignment is sacred. It is where your confidence is born. Not from fake positivity or affirmation, but from earned self-respect. The man who follows through, who gets it done no matter what, who honors his own word, that man walks into every room differently. He does not need validation. He does not beg for permission. He becomes a force. And when you become a force, opportunities chase you. People notice. Environments shift. But it begins internally with private discipline, private standards, private execution that the world may never see. Until it cannot ignore you. You must understand this deeply. Nothing external will fix an internal weakness. You can change cities, jobs, relationships, but if you carry the same weak habits, the same excuses, the same unwillingness to do hard things, your life will not change. True elevation starts when you look inward and say, I'm the problem and I am the solution. That level of ownership is rare, but it is the only path. Stop waiting for life to get easier. It won't. You must get stronger. You must harden your resolve. Build internal architecture so unshakable that nothing external can bring it down. That strength comes from doing hard things repeatedly without negotiation until it becomes your way of life. Not an event, a lifestyle. Most will never understand how close they were to a breakthrough when they quit. They see the resistance as rejection, but resistance is confirmation. It means the breakthrough is near. It means you are disrupting old patterns. That's why it feels so heavy. The old you is dying, and the new you is being born. But birth is not painless. You will be tested through doubt, fatigue, isolation. That's the final gate. If you quit, you go back to zero. But if you persist, everything changes. So when it gets harder, dig deeper. When your body says stop, let your spirit rise. When you're alone, remember, all great men are forged in isolation. Do not flee the fire. Walk through it. You must become a man of unbreakable routines. Routines that don't rely on emotion, weather, circumstance, or approval. Just commitment. That's where excellence is manufactured. In the invisible hours. In the repetitions no one claps for. In the practice sessions, the silent mornings, the lonely nights. Your routine is the proof of your desire. Anyone can talk big goals. Few can sustain the process. You want confidence? Earn it by doing what you said you would do for months on end. That kind of confidence can't be faked. It doesn't need hype. It doesn't ask for support. It becomes magnetic because people feel your alignment. They see your discipline and they trust your results. Let's talk about pain. Most run from it. You must run into it because pain is your instructor. It reveals what's weak, what's broken, what must be refined. Every discomfort is a message. Are you listening? When you avoid pain, you avoid the lesson. When you numb it, you delay the transformation. But when you embrace it, understand it, and use it, you level up. Every time you force yourself to move forward in pain, you send a signal to your subconscious. We are warriors. We do not retreat. That identity compounds. Eventually, you'll seek challenge. You'll crave difficulty because you'll know it's how you evolve. Weak men seek comfort. Strong men manufacture resilience. The man who wins is not the most talented. He is the most consistent, the most relentless, the most intolerant of his own excuses. Talent is cheap. Discipline is rare. So train yourself to become rare. Every time you feel like skipping a task, say this: what would the best version of me do right now? Then do that. You are either strengthening your future or delaying it. There is no neutral. And when you repeatedly choose excellence, your world begins to shift. You attract different people, different opportunities, different challenges. Your environment begins to mirror your inner standard. That's not magic. That's alignment. Force yourself to raise your standard, and everything around you will rise to meet it or fall away. There is no glory in being busy. Everyone's busy. The question is, are you effective? Are you intentional? Or are you just distracting yourself from doing the hard work that actually matters? Audit your life. Audit your habits. Are they aligned with your goals or your fears? The man who is honest with himself becomes powerful because self-deception is the anchor of mediocrity. Let go of it. Choose clarity. If your actions do not match your ambition, adjust your actions, not your goals. Do not scale down your dreams to fit your laziness. Scale up your discipline to match your destiny. You are capable of more, but you must act like it consistently, not occasionally. You must also learn to respect time. Time is your most valuable currency. Once spent, it cannot be earned back. Are you investing your time or wasting it? Each day, you are either building your legacy or burying your potential. Choose wisely. You do not have forever. The clock is ticking, and it does not care about your feelings. One day, you will look back and realize you were either a man of excuses or execution. That will be your story. Which one will it be? Stop saying someday. Say today. Say now. Move. Execute. Build. Because the man who acts with urgency lives with fewer regrets. Even your language must change. Stop saying I can't. Say I must. Stop saying I'll try. Say I will. Your words program your brain. Speak power into your path. Speak certainty. Speak discipline. The man who talks like a king becomes one. That's not arrogance. It's ownership. Own your thoughts. Own your words. Own your action. And the world will begin to reflect that ownership. But it starts with you, in private, in silence, with no fanfare. Just relentless, deliberate, committed action. That is the path. It's not easy, but it is worth it. And remember this truth, even on your worst day you can still improve. Improvement is not about perfection, it's about progress. It's about showing up when it would have been easier not to. About moving forward when your mind screams to stop. That's what separates the average from the elite. Not genetics, not talent, but refusal to quit. So when it gets hard, smile. You're in the process. You're in the transformation. You're doing what most won't so you can live how most can't. Keep going. Keep rising. Keep forcing yourself to get better. That is your superpower. Now that you've walked through the fire, now that you've endured what most and refuse to face, there comes another test. How will you handle strength when it arrives? You see, the average man only dreams of victory, but the wise man prepares for it. He sharpens himself not just to survive pain, but to carry the responsibility of power. Because success is not the finish line, it's the beginning of new pressure, new distractions, new temptations. And if you have not developed the discipline in the shadows, success will break you in the spotlight. You must be the same man when the rewards come as you were when there were none. Consistent, grounded, hungry. People will begin to notice. They'll whisper. They'll ask how you did it. But they didn't see the early mornings, the discipline, the silent pain, the lonely choices. Let them talk. Let them wonder. You're not here for applause. You're here for impact. And impact requires consistency far beyond motivation. By now, your discipline must be automatic. Your routine, non-negotiable. Your vision, non-distracted. Because now you are playing in a different arena where the real challenge is not starting but sustaining. Anyone can sprint. Few can run marathons in silence year after year. You're that kind of man now, the one who doesn't need noise to know he's winning. At this level, the enemy isn't laziness, it's complacency. You've made progress. You've achieved milestones, and it's tempting to slow down. But the moment you get comfortable, you're already losing. Because the world doesn't wait. Evolution doesn't pause. The man who wins is the man who reinvents himself again and again, even after victory, especially after victory. So ask yourself, what's next? What new levels are possible? What new strengths can be developed? What new purpose can you align with? If you're not growing, you're rotting. So keep the fire lit. Keep the blade sharp. Force yourself to evolve, even when it's no longer required, especially then. Remember, true excellence is lonely. The more you rise, the fewer people you'll find at the top, because most cannot endure the price of greatness. They don't want that kind of responsibility. They want comfort, validation, distraction. But you want legacy. And legacy requires sacrifice, long-term thinking, strategic solitude, and an internal compass that doesn't get swayed by popularity or praise. That is the cost of being uncommon. You may not be understood, but you will be respected, because results speak. Results don't beg. Results roar. And the man who lives by principle, who builds himself daily regardless of recognition, he becomes a legend in motion. You've also learned by now that emotion is a tool, not a guide. You don't wait to feel like it. You do it regardless. Because mastery lives in systems, not moods. That is your edge. While others ride the roller coaster of emotion, you build platforms that don't crumble. And when you operate from principle, your consistency becomes intimidating. People wonder how you keep showing up, how you keep building, how you keep rising. But they'll never understand it wasn't about talent. It was about refusal. You refused to stop, refused to settle, refused to make excuses. And that refusal turned into momentum. Momentum turned into dominance. And dominance became your standard. Even in abundance, keep your hunger. Feed your ambition daily. Revisit your goals. Reset your targets. Because once you taste growth, you'll crave it more than comfort. And that craving must be nurtured. Don't let success make you soft. Let it remind you of who you had to become to get here. Stay close to that version. Respect the journey. And then multiply it. Expand it. Teach it. Use it to build others. Because your growth is not just for you. It's a blueprint for others who are still in the trenches. Your scars, your silence, your sacrifice, it all becomes proof that this path is real and that it's possible. As you continue forward, simplify your life. Cut the noise. Eliminate the unnecessary. Focus on what builds you. The tighter your focus, the stronger your results. You don't need more options. You need more intensity, more depth, more precision. So audit your environment, your circle, your schedule. Ask, is this helping me get better? If not, remove it ruthlessly. Because mediocrity creeps in subtly through distractions, through softness, through compromise. Guard your standards. Defend your discipline. Protect your mission. That's how you stay dangerous in a world that wants you average. And finally, never forget where you came from. Remember the pain that built you, the days no one believed in you, the moments you almost gave up. Those were your defining hours. They shaped you, hardened you, focused you. Let that fuel you, not for vengeance, but for clarity. For purpose? Because the fire that once hurt you is now the light that guides you. So keep going. Keep building. Keep forcing yourself to get better, especially when it's hard. That's how you win. Not once, but forever.